Hello and welcome again to the next instalment of the Southern Highlands Ride. This is part 4 and I'm just still on the Highlands Way. I'm just turning into what is the main, for want of a better word, CBD of Bundanoon. Bundanoon's a township on the Highlands Way. Perhaps it's the main township. The other places are little villages, and this is more of a town. You can see most of it on the right-hand side here. There are cafes, chemist shop, and those sort of general types of stores. There's a small supermarket a bit further up the road here near this, and it's a service station as well. And there are restaurants and such like. So it's a thriving little community that's I don't know the number of people who live there, but it's a popular place to visit. I think I got cut off at the end of the last video, not realising the video was running out and still talking about the fact that Bundanoon is the first place in Australia to not sell bottled water. If you go to Bundanoon, or if you drive through Bundanoon and you need water, the people there are happy to give you water, a glass of water, or if you take in a bottle of some sort, they'll fill it up with tap water for you, but they don't sell bottled water at any of the stores. And I think they took that decision for the environmental reasons, for the impact of bottling plants and plastic bottle waste and so on, and the cost of transporting water and so on, but also because a lot of the water that's in those bottles is actually tap water in the first place, and it's been pumped out of the aquifer that's in the Southern Highlands. So people in stores in Bundanoon decided it was not a good thing for the environment to have bottled water, so you can't buy bottled water in the little township of Bundanoon. Gone through the business district there, the shopping centre. I suspect that most people who live here probably commute into Moss Vale or Bowral or maybe even Mittagong to work, and certainly they'd go there for their major shopping, the supermarkets there. As I said, there is a small supermarket in Bundanoon, but I don't think it would carry the full range that you'd expect in a Woolworths or Coles or whatever. I mentioned cafes, restaurants and so on. There's a school. I'm not sure how many children go to school at the primary school, but they'd obviously go to Moss Vale to high school, or into Bowral or somewhere like that if they go to one of the non-government schools. There's a railway station, and I think it's a pretty popular. The people who live there are well satisfied with it. They would like it to maintain that quiet country feel that it has, and probably aren't all that impressed if there's going to be lots of development there. Not that I'm aware of any being planned. When I come to that T intersection, the second of the T intersections just before you go into the shopping centre, if you turn right there instead of left as I did, you would go down into Moreton National Park. There's parking there, and there are picnic spots and so on, and there are waterfalls and walking trails and lots of things like that to explore. So that's Bundanoon. Oh, the other thing that Bundanoon is famous for is the glowworm glen. I can't really tell you much about that, except that you need to go at a certain time of the year, which I think is in the middle of winter, and you need to go at night, of course, because the glowworms you can only see them in the dark. And I think the time they're most active is during winter, but I don't want to be quoted on that last bit. So that's the other major tourist attraction there. So I'm now heading north of Bundanoon on the Moss Vale Road towards Moss Vale, but before we get to Moss Vale there will be another couple of villages to go through here, the first of which is Exeter, which will be coming up shortly. I've spoken earlier about the state of the road here, and as you can see, for the most part it's in pretty good condition. As you can see right here, the trees are quite close to the road, and the shadows cast by the trees go across the road, and you get that dappling effect of the light as you ride through it. At other places, like this little spot I'm coming to now, it seems to be a bit more open, and the trees are a bit back from the edge of the road, and there are markings on the side of the road, and the shoulder is quite broad as well. Going over the railway line now. That's the main Southern Railway line, so from Sydney through to Goulburn and then on eventually to Melbourne. It is often thought that this area of the Southern Highlands, I beg your pardon, is like the English countryside. Now, I can't say which particular part of the English countryside, but lots of houses with hedges for fencing, and it just seems to have that feel of what people think the English countryside would be like. We'll be coming into Exeter shortly. Exeter's a small village, a little bit bigger than Tallong or Penrose or Winslow, but certainly not as big as Bundanoon. There's a corner store, antique store, cafe there. There's some churches and a railway station and some sporting fields. If you take the turn on the left just up here, it's coming into Exeter now, if you take the turn on the left, it'll take you back to the Hume Highway, and the Hume Motorway. Camera seems to be jumping about a bit here, or bouncing about, and footage seems to be bouncing about here, and yes, you can see it's the state of the road. There are patches upon patches here, and it is a bit uneven in comparison with some of the other sections, which are much more even and much smoother. The next village to come to after Exeter will be Sutton Forest. Sutton Forest, there's a pub which does lunches. I'm not sure if it's open in the morning or open for dinner, but certainly it's open at lunchtime. There used to be a school, but I get the feeling, having driven past the school the last couple of times, that it's closed. But I may be wrong about that, so I don't want to be quoted. I just got the feeling it looked a bit deserted and looked as if the grounds hadn't been maintained, so I formed the impression that the school might have closed. And beyond that, there's not a lot in Sutton Forest. The area around Sutton Forest is known for horses, in that there are stables and all sorts of equestrian activities that people like to enjoy there. Horse riding and show jumping and those sort of activities seem to be very popular in that area. Stopped at some roadworks here. They're widening the road a little bit, which is always a good thing. On the move again. When you have a look along the side of the road here, there are 3 or 4 large excavators working on this bit of a project, so you can understand why road repair and road building and so on is an expensive proposition. Even if there are only a few men working on, a few people working on it, so labour costs might not be that high. The cost of operating those excavators must come out at several $1,000s an hour, I reckon. So the T intersection here I think this is the Illawarra Highway, and if you go left it'll take you back to the Hume motorway and then Goulburn. Go right, it'll take you to Sutton Forest. There's a store on the corner there called the Everything Store, because it has a bit of everything. It doesn't specialise in one thing, it's just a general store that sells a bit of everything. I'm just going past the Sutton Forest pub at the moment. I think the school is just up here on the left-hand side. So I'm through Sutton Forest now and I'm on the way to Moss Vale. This area around Moss Vale was first explored and settled in around 1836, I think, by a chap named Charles Throsby. Now, when I say that first explored and settled, I mean by the first white person. Obviously, Indigenous or First Nation Australians had known the area for thousands, if not tens of thousands of years, but he was the first known white person to have explored this area and settled it, and no doubt claimed some of their land for his pastoral activities and so on. There are a couple of wineries on this road going into Moss Vale. I think one of them is the Centennial Winery. As with other places where there are wineries, I can't tell you anything about the quality or otherwise of the wine. I can just tell you that the winery's there. I'm coming towards the end of this video, and rather than getting caught out and getting cut off and still talking, not realising the video has ended, I'll say thank you for watching and assure you that I'll be back with part 5 of this trip, which will take me from Moss Vale on the Illawarra Highway down towards Kangaroo Valley. I shall talk to you then and tell you more about Moss Vale and Kangaroo Valley and so on in the next video. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to comment either via Facebook or YouTube and share the video with anyone you'd like to share it with. Thank you, and I'll talk to you again next time.